Well, hello, everybody. Rabies. It's scary. It's very scary because if not treated, it is almost always fatal. I say almost always. I'll get into that in a minute because for the longest time, thought only one person had survived rabies. And not only did I only think one person survived, I thought they would have brain damage. But turns out I was wrong, which means that most people, not saying that I'm the be-all, end-all, obviously, but I do research beforehand, and I had to do some digging before I was able to find any indication otherwise. And that's what I was always told. So, always being told something doesn't mean anything. With that being said, a rabies alert has been issued in Gainesville, Georgia. Been there a decent amount. After a young girl was bitten by a rabid beaver, which her father then caught and killed. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, like raccoons and everything's and bats probably don't feel good, but beaver? Oh, the incident took place on Saturday afternoon while the girl was swimming off private property in the northern end of Lake Lanier. That's exactly why I used to go there. I've been to Lake Lanier many times, got a bunch of spotted bass there. In an interview with WSB TV, Don McGowan, supervisor at the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, said that the responding game warden described the animal as the biggest beaver he's ever seen, coming in about 50 to 55 pounds. Jesus Christ. That's a big beaver. Get out of my head, please. Despite its massive size, the girl's father beat the beaver to death. Its body was transported to the virology section of the Georgia Public Health Lab in Decatur for testing. On July 11th, the results came back positive for rabies. Rabies is a fatal viral infection that is transmitted through the saliva of infected animals. The infection targets the brain and spinal cord of mammals, causing progressive inflammation and eventually death. Once in the brain, the rabies virus binds to and inhibits certain receptors that play a crucial role in regulating mammalian behavior, according to the researchers at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. In humans, this usually results in feeling of anxiety, confusion, partial paralysis, hallucination, and in final phases, a fear of water. In animals, the virus often induces increased aggression, turning infected animals into angry, biting machines, hell-bent on spreading the infection through their frothing saliva. But rabies isn't always this obvious, according to the CDC. Some animals may actually become more timid when infected. Roughly 5,000 animal rabies cases are reported in the U.S. every year, with only about 1 to 3 human cases, according to the National Foundation of Infectious Diseases. However, around the world, the World Health Organization estimates that at least 59,000 people die every year as a result of rabies infections, with 95% of the cases occurring in Africa and Asia. In the state of Georgia, pet cats and dogs are required to be vaccinated against rabies. The Hall County Animal Shelter recommends limiting contact with wild animals and notifying officials if any animals are seen to be acting unusually. In the light of recent incident, the Hall County government will be posting positive alert signs in the Sardis area where the attack took place. If you live in the area and see an animal acting abnormal in the area, contact blah, 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 blah. So, rabies gets very common in certain species when there is a large population of them. Like in Alaska, they have a problem with Arctic foxes, and they hunt them after a certain, like they literally put bounties on their heads because the foxes get in population so large that once rabies starts sweeping through, it just decimates the population and like it can cause a lot of problems. So they go out and they put bounties on their heads to stop the spread of rabies. So, as I said before, I thought there only a few people had survived rabies. But basically, when you get bit, there's an incubation period. After the rabies exposure, the rabies virus has to travel to the brain before it can cause symptoms. This time between exposure and experience of symptoms is the incubation period. It lasts for weeks to months. The incubation period may vary based upon the location of the exposure site, the type of rabies, and any existing immunity. The first symptoms of rabies may be similar to flu, including weakness or discomfort, fever, or headache. There also may be discomfort, prickling, or itching sensation on the side of the bite. These symptoms may last for a few days. Symptoms then progress to cerebral dysfunction, anxiety, confusion, and agitation. After the disease progresses, a person may experience delirium, abnormal behavior, hallucination, hydrophobia, the fear of water, and insomnia. The acute period of disease typically ends after 2 to 10 days. Once clinical signs of rabies appear, the disease is nearly always fatal and treatment is typically supportive. Less than 20 cases of human survival from clinical rabies have been documented. Only a few survivors have no history of pre or post-exposure prophylaxis. The signs and symptoms and outcomes of rabies in animals can vary. Symptoms in animals often are similar to that in humans. These include specific symptoms, acute neurological symptoms, and ultimately death. So, think about it like this. You get bit, and you don't do anything about it. You get bit by, I don't know, any animal, and you don't think too much of it. It could be a cat scratching you, or biting you, excuse me. And you don't think anything of it. Yeah, it's a cat, whatever, And then, the cat runs off, whatever. Like, okay, whatever, not a big deal. Week or two later, all of a sudden you just start feeling sick. And then all of a sudden it goes into hyperdrive. And then you're dead. That's usually how that happens. Because there's nothing they can really do. The only thing they can do is, I think it's called the Milwaukee Protocol. They cool your body down. They put you into a coma. Basically, they want your brain to not have to fight anything. They want your body to basically stop trying to fight it, because once it fights it, that's one of the reasons that your brain swells up. Because your body's trying so hard to fight it, and it can't, and it literally just kills you. But eventually, sometimes it runs its course, and a few people have survived. Well, with that being said, 1 to 3 cases are reported annually. 25 cases of human rabies have been reported in the United States in the past decade. 7 of these infections were acquired outside of the U.S. and its territories. The number of human rabies deaths in the United States has been steadily declining since the 1970s, thanks to animal control and vaccination programs, successful outreach programs, public health capacity, and laboratory diagnostics, and the availability of modern rabies biologics. Yet each year, hundreds of thousands of animals need to be placed under observation or be tested for rabies, and between 30 to 60,000 people need to receive rabies post-exposure prophylaxis. Cases of rabies in humans in the United States and Puerto Rico from January 2009 through December 2019 by circumstances of exposure in rabies virus variant. So, context. 1 to 3 cases per year are reported of somebody actually getting to the point where they show symptoms, is what it's saying. Like, they come in because they're not feeling good, and they're like, oh, you have rabies. 1 to 3 people a year. 30 to 60,000 people every single year get the rabies vaccine because they are bit by an animal and they get the vaccine. That tells you, like, that if you get the vaccine as soon as you are bit by an animal, you are going to be fine. If they catch it as soon as you get bit, you are fine if you get vaccinated. If you don't get vaccinated, only less than 20 people have survived throughout history. And this is the past, and this is, it's back since 2019. Just take a look at some of this. Okay, we're going to go back 16. Okay, we're going to go back all the way to the bottom. Okay. February 25th of 2009. Got bit by a bat. 17 years old, Texas. Survived. There's not many of them that survived. October 5th, 2009. Indiana. Died October 20th from a bat. Another one. Bat. Dead. October of 2009. A lot of India died October 9th. Mexico, bat, died. Bat, Wisconsin, died. You know, they're saying they don't know the exposure, or where they're bit, I guess. But most of these people are dead. Like, they died. Now, going up to here, April 30th, 2011. Survived California, 8-year-old female, unknown. This is the one that called me out. And her name is Precious, I believe. Very nice about it. You know, she just wanted me to make sure that, like, she's like, I don't have brain damage. I'm fine. It's like, okay, yeah, like I went out with another video talking about the situation. She says she got scratched by a cat. I don't know if getting scratched is a way to get it. She got it from a cat on the hand, I believe. I think she said she was walking home from school or something, and she went to go pet a cat. And then she got rabies, and she was like the second or third person ever to survive. And she had to be put under the Milwaukee Protocol. She's fine. She's really, she's all over social media right now. So people do survive it. But she's the last person that on this list who survived. Tons of bats, couple dogs, dog mongoose in the Caribbean. I don't know. There's a couple raccoons. But yeah, anyone who, all but 2 in the past however many years, all of them died. Except for 2. So, you know, it's a very scary thing. You got to be serious about it. And if you ever get rabies or get bit by an animal, go to the hospital. Get the rabies vaccine, even if you don't know if you have rabies. Shots in the stomach, it's not pleasant. But the other option is you're going to die, pretty much. Like, you don't want to go through the Milwaukee Protocol. Not everyone makes it out like Precious did. So, anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you can take this as, I hope you can take this seriously and understand that this is something that does happen and is easily prevented. As long as you get the vaccine, you're going to be fine. In this case, the vaccine is a good thing. I'm kidding. I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Keep it wild.